Hello students, today's video is titled Distance, Speed, and Time. So let's get started. The first slide I want to show you here is an equation. And this is an equation we'll be using today. The equation says that distance equals speed times time. So when we abbreviate this, we might say D for distance equals S for speed times T for time. So distance equals S times T. This is the formula or the equation we're going to be using for our problems today. Now, did I just make this up out of nowhere? Why does distance equal speed times time? Well, let me show you with units. So let's say we measure distance using miles. That's a distance we use a lot in our everyday lives. So let's say our distance is miles. Then we would set that equal to a speed. Well, what's a speed that we see or experience every day? Maybe on the bus or in the car, we like to go miles per hour. So that could be our speed. And then we'll bring this multiplication sign down. And how could we measure time? Well, if our speed is measured in miles per hour, maybe our time could be measured in hours. So let's see if this is true. Do miles, which is a distance, equal miles per hour times hours? Let's think about that. Well, when we multiply with fractions, we often put a non-fraction over 1. And if you look at this side, we could cross-cancel these hours just like this. And then we would have these miles on the left side equals what's left over here, which would just be miles on the right side. And since that's a true statement, I think I've shown that indeed a distance is equal to a speed times a time. So that's why that equation works. Now we're going to do 2 examples, the first of which is going to be right here. So the example says, Jose drove his car on cruise control at 65 miles per hour for 3 hours without stopping. How far did he go? So because the 3 variables in our equation are D for distance, S for speed, and T for time, I want to see which of these I'm actually given in the problem. So let's find our first number. That would be 65 miles per hour. So we have to think, Jose drove his car on cruise control at 65 miles per hour. Is that a distance, a speed, or a time? Well, I hope you're thinking it's a speed. So the S is going to be 65. As we read on, he does this for 3 hours. So is 3 hours a distance or a time? Well, I hope you're thinking it's a time. The question, how far did he go? How far? Well, that is a distance. So that's what we're actually going to find. So if we write our equation, distance equals speed times time, we can fill in what we know. So distance is what we're looking for. We'll leave that. If you have a question mark, just leave the variable, the letter as it is. Speed, 65 times time, which is 3. So D equals, and then we may have to come off to the side to take 65 times 3. 3 times 5, 15, carry the 1. 3 times 6 plus 1 is 19. So we'll say that distance is 195 And then distance, let's see what we're using here. Since our speed is calculated in miles per hour, we'll say that our distance is 195 miles. And that would be our final answer. Very cool. Okay, one more example and we'll be all done. The last example for this video says, Chris ran the 40-yard dash in 5 seconds. What is his rate? Well, the first thing I want to say is this word rate was not brought up in the formula. The formula has distance, speed, and time. Can you think of which one of those might be a synonym or mean the same thing as rate? Well, the answer is that a rate is a speed. So I'm going to write this sort of off to the side here next to the S. This is what we're looking for, is the rate or the speed. So that will be our question mark. Okay, that means we probably have a distance and a time. So let's read this again. Chris ran the 40-yard dash. So 40 yards is a distance. And he did it in a time of 5 seconds. So setting up our equation again, we will have distance equals speed times time. And for distance, we'll put 40 equals, we don't know the speed, that's what we're looking for, so we'll leave that as an S, times time, which is 5. So you're asking yourself, what number times 5 is equal to 40? And I'm sure you're thinking 8. 8 times 5 is equal to 40. So you could say that your speed or your rate is 8. And now we have to look at our units. Yards per second, not miles per hour in this one. It's yards each second. That's the rate at which Chris is moving, or his speed. Now, before I leave this, we did that just with trial and error, like what number times 5 is 40. Let me just show you a little snippet of algebra. So when you have a number like this 5 next to a letter and the operation happening between them is multiplication, if you don't want to guess and check what number times 5 is 40, you can do this instead. Since this is multiplication, you want to do the opposite operation of multiplication, which of course is division. If you put a division bar here and you put a division bar on this side and you divide by this very number that's next to the letter S, which is 5, put a 5 there and a 5 there, what will happen is 40 divided by 5 is 8. Bring your equal sign down. Now 5 divided by 5, well, that's just 1. Those cancel out. And the S just drops on down. So that's another way to get that the speed is 8 yards per second. And that's something called algebra, which we'll be doing more of this year as the year progresses. But I just thought I had an opportunity here to show you, so I would. Okay, so that's it. Pretty easy. Just remember, distance equals speed times time. And usually you're given 2 out of the 3, and then you have to go ahead and find the third item. All right, thanks for watching, and happy trails to you.